Was it off lead discussions?
Huh?
Off lead. What is it? Off leash. What
See,
is it,
see, this
Jess?
is what happens when we're gonna podcast the two of us. We're gonna up so good.
I know.
Off the
Off,
Leash Conversations
off the leash
by
conversation.
Professional Canine. Rock and roll, baby. Roll the tape.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Off the Leash Conversations with Professional Canine. This is episode 5, and it's just me and Jess today. So,
Yep.
what can happen?
Ha! I feel like a lot could happen. They left us to our own devices, and we don't. I mean, I am HR, so there's that, but we don't have anybody corralling us. So
No.
this could go one of two ways.
Yeah. So,
What's
anyway,
happening this week? You guys, you did some service dogs. You got some
yes.
service dogs going. I got some service dogs going. What's happening?
Well, I think obviously for those who do not know who we work with as far as service dog, the Max Soviak Foundation in Upbury, Ohio, is one of our big foundations that we work with, and then I founded the Central Ohio Canine Foundation here in Central Ohio, and we had a big uptick just this year. We right now we're in the month of April, and we have 5 service dogs currently going for COCO, and with the Soviet Foundation we have 4.
Four?
Yeah,
Four.
yeah, because we're getting ready to fly our dogs,
Fly the
and
dogs.
we were putting the tally on them, and I think we're close to 10 or 12 dogs we're gonna have to put in an airplane.
It's going to
So,
be so fun. It's going to be,
right.
well, we have a few to catch up from. Last time we tried to fly dogs was a bit of a disaster. The weather was not helpful. Our pilot said it was unsafe to fly.
We went up a couple times, and the last flight you did kind of
I
shunned you
trust.
from doing flying
Yeah.
anymore.
I mean,
So,
I trust Mr. Sparks. He's
mhm.
a great pilot. I trust him with my life most times, but every once in a while he likes to scare me just a little bit.
Yep. So
Being a flying.
I'll give him a little shout out. We used Sparks Flies here in Morrow County. He's a great pilot. He has his own business where he takes people up for their intro discovery flight. And we got with them a couple of years ago about me and Justice talked about having this idea of, we tried to prepare our service dogs for every stage of that handler's life. In fact, one of the big things that I usually tell the new veteran or first responder when we talk to them is, I need you to write down of everything that you're going to do for the rest of your life. And a lot of them are going to fly in a commercial airplane. So we started off by going down to Wright State Aviation, and we were just simply getting the dogs in an airplane and putting them in the confined seating, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of spawned into what we're doing now, where we actually take the dog on a small airplane and we go up. It gives the dogs the sensation of takeoff. Mr. Sparks does a little turbulence in the air, like we do some turns, and we bring the plane back down, and the dog gets to experience the landing. And I think it's a really good, gives the dog a full picture of what air travel will look like. Now, obviously, it's going to be a little different because it's not a pressurized cabin and etc. But I think it's a good kind of a
It's definitely,
go-between. Mm-hmm.
it is. I feel like those small planes, they definitely, like, there's a lot more going on, like the sounds, like the
Mm-hmm.
noises in the airplane, like all the beeping and the things going on, and it is pretty bumpy. I mean, it's a small plane, and so I feel like if our dogs can successfully manage that and they do
Right.
well, they sure as hell are going to do fine on a big commercial airliner that's, you do feel a lot less, and like it's more comfortable, and there's a lot more elements to that. But just preparing these dogs was important to us, and I can't tell you how many times, like, the veteran says, I don't travel much, and the next thing you know, I'm getting pictures of dogs on airplanes, and
Yeah.
that makes my heart happy, truly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be fun. We've got a whole group going out, and
Yeah.
we love to do it when all the veterans get together. Our goal is obviously getting dogs in those hands, but I like to get them all together, network, and let them, like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to corral him a bit. It gets a little bit rowdy sometimes,
Yeah.
you guys can all imagine, but it's really cool to see all of the veterans together with their dogs and giving them the space to like share their experience and
Yep.
talk about dog stuff. And like, my service dog is XYZ, and like, how do you navigate this and how do you navigate that? And that gives them a lot of freedom too. So, you know, as much as it is about flying and preparing them, sometimes these things that we put together for them and invite the whole group down together is just equally part of what we want to do. So
Right.
that's been good.
We do that. We do a group up in the Sandusky area, and we have 5 dogs there now.
Is it 5 already?
I believe so.
Oh, or
There's
6.
quite a few. Maybe
Anyway.
6. Anyway, we I'm going to have to go back and count. So anyway, the great thing about when I meet with them, and I know Jess, you've met with them, and it's probably a similar conversation. Is I always touch base with them, and I say, hey, what's your pros as far as since the last time we met? What's been great in your life with your canine partner, and
Yep.
what are things that we need to focus on or work on? And they have more pros than
Yeah.
cons, and you
Yeah.
know, and we tell our veterans when they're unsure about getting a dog and whatnot, we tell them it's going to change your life, and we have countless stories of where our veterans or first responders have had devastating, life-altering injuries, mental stress, and a simple and I don't call them simple because they're not simple, but having a 4-legged dog to intervene in your life can just change everything about them.
100%. I mean, some of it is my last service dog is out of the home. So Echo, shout out to Echo, got to go with her veteran, and she went last week. And it's been awesome. I got to meet with her. We're going to do some lesson-based stuff, which is so nice. I love that we're so flexible. That's something that we pride ourselves on. Like, she is at a place where her obedience is good and she is thriving and all the things. She just truly needs experience. She needs to just go out,
Right.
like live life with your person and like try new things. And like, it comes down to either I'm going to do it or the veteran can take this opportunity to bond and have that experience. And so it makes my heart happy when they start to, like, it's not perfect. There's going to be moments they're stubborn and you're like, well, that outing didn't go as planned. But then like, I'm hearing the best stories, and hopefully this veteran doesn't mind, but he was telling me at his lesson that I was like, how are things going? Like, you getting out in public, and he watches Price is Right every day with one of his buddies. They go wherever, like his local spot, and grab some lunch, and they watch Price is Right together.
Oh.
And it's hard not to get emotional, but
Sure.
to hear that the dog gets to go with him, and like they're going to watch Price is Right together, and she's like getting out and doing her job, and like she's not even what we would consider completed, but it's incredible because that transition between like the dog is working, but you know, there's entities out there that are like, oh, service dogs aren't ready until they're 2 years old or after, and it's just not true. You know,
Right.
like if you got the right fit and the right dog and they want to do the job, like just her being there with him and hanging out watching Price is Right is changing someone's life, like getting them back on track and just having a companion there. And my understanding is that everyone adores her and they are enjoying having her around. And so a lot of times these veterans are in communities and circles of people that their dogs bring a lot of joy to many people, not even just themselves. And so I love to hear our Texas friends, you know, Max gets to go to the gym with his veteran, and like the people at the gym just adore him. And we've seen some adorable commercials for his job where like he's like the little mascot, you know, and those are the moments that just make your heart really happy, really.
Well, just on that with Max, I remember, you know, when they came to get Max, right, the family, and we went to the Columbus Zoo. And you and I were in the restaurant, and it was just crazy packed to the point where we looked at each other like, I don't know if I'm good. Let's check on him.
You and I are having a moment where
Right.
like, oh my God, like I'm gonna have to get on out of here. Like I can't do this. And we look over
He was
at him,
fine.
and I'm like bracing for impact. Like we're not gonna be able to get lunch here. I don't know what we're gonna do. And you and I look over, and he is cool as a cucumber. Him and his
Yep.
dog just
Chilling like a villain. And then after that, like we had that weekend with them, and then it was like maybe 4 or 5 days afterwards, you and I both got a message from him, and it was a
yeah,
picture, and that picture was just simply you seen Max and you seen a grocery cart and his hands on the grocery cart, right?
yep,
And he said that he did it on purpose. He sent the picture and then he like
yeah,
waited. And then
yeah,
when we were like, what's this? And then he sends the message. And the message is, this is the first time I've been in a grocery store by myself in 10 years.
yeah.
Changes their lives.
Yeah.
And
And what's incredible about this is like, I warn our veterans to some degree, like, hi, I'm your new bestie in your life forever. So sorry you're stuck with me now. And it's incredible. Like I have this new family of people, and I have people like we love to celebrate their wins. Every time they text one of us, we are immediately group texting ourselves like,
sure,
hell yeah, we celebrate big too. It's not just like a cool, glad you're doing that. Like we really all out celebrate these wins because they're incredible, and it's cool to see the dynamic change. And like you said, we've got 5 dogs on board, and what's cool is that we are in a place, and we've built this company to a place where we can just say yes, and we just know that like there's certainly business behind it.
Sure.
And there's certainly there's obviously monetary exchange for these things, and that's all good and great. But at the end of the day, we have built this place that we can just say yes, and we don't worry about the money, and it'll come when it comes. And we will fundraise, and so that's exciting. We got some fundraisers coming up. We've got the clay shoot, which is one of my all-time favorite fundraisers. I think it's unique, it's fun, it's for everybody, even the beginners, like even if you don't know how to shoot. And what's exciting is all of our local veterans, regardless of what foundation they're from, is really cool. They all show up and they bring their dogs. It's so fun to see them on the range with their dogs, and their dogs are cool. And I mean, who doesn't love guns and dogs?
Right. And that's going to be in August. August 8th is our date at the Cardinal Center here in Morrow County. It's cool. The Clays for Courage is what we've titled it, and it is a fantastic event. They do a great job down there at the Cardinal Center, and we are very blessed to be able to work with them, and the turnout is amazing. And even every year, everybody asks us at the end, you guys are going to do this again, right? So we've made a point. But I wanted to back up just a little bit when we talk about our groups, when we have our group, like our group in Sandusky. Like, yes, it is about their dog training and them, but it's amazing to see them network together and talk. And then they have this relationship even outside of our engagement with them. And so it really, like, and I'm sure you know a couple of them as well, they were very, very much reclused into their home. They did not go out. They didn't want to engage in anybody. And I got one guy, Emma's handler, and talk about someone who put in the work. He did a lot of work with that dog, and he just blossoms into a rose, if you will. This dog has just done an about face for his life, and he is out enjoying it. He's not just sitting at home. And the dog makes, and it's the thing, these dogs make them get out and do something, and it's just amazing to watch it.
Well, it'll be fun. So we have the Soviet golf outing. It's talking about fundraisers. We got to go back this year. Yeah.
We didn't. I got you. No.
But it was cool because what I didn't realize was going to happen is I started a little group chat to like see what veterans wanted to golf with us. First of all, I have 3 teams, all of which are veterans.
Yep.
And speaking of networking, like the group message popped off. I remember one night I was like winding down, like trying to watch TV, and my phone is blowing up. I'm like, what is going on? And I look, and all the veterans are exchanging photos of their dogs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just had the biggest, I was like, this is awesome. They were just pictures back and forth, back and forth. And so, like, it's just a little bit more than service dogs, you know, and it's been cool to do these fundraisers.
Sure.
You know, it's certainly about raising money and awareness and all those things, but it's cool to like show off the dogs and their incredible work and, you know, show off, like, let the veterans show off too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's awesome. And of course, you know, we've come so far in our training too. I mean, it's always trial and error, but you know, that cortisol imprinting that we're doing is just completely changing the game.
Changing. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it also kind of, it makes that communication with the dog, it connects that a little bit better than what we have done in the previous. And I think that's really tying into the right nerve endings on the dog, or olfactory sensories with the dog. And for those who don't know, we utilize a synthetic cortisol. Cortisol obviously is what is expelled during stressful situations, and we get the dog imprinted on a cortisol to help the dog to understand that this is the odor they need to smell. And then we basically bring it to the veteran, and then we put it on him, and then we bring it, you know, we lower the dose so that way the dog is more attentive to the handler. And I tell you, we've worked a lot of service dogs, and I would say in the last 2 years starting doing this, it's really been a game changer for us.
Well, it's been really cool to see like how it goes on, and how it, like, that transition. People are like, well, how do you transition? And it's so crazy how back to Echo, he was telling me that you know, she's already picking it up. And I had imprinted the odor. She knows what's up. She just doesn't really have a final alert. And I always tell the veterans, like, that's their job. It's not my job to teach them a final alert. Like, I just teach the dog how to learn. And it's their fun job to get them to teach. Like, he gets to teach her all the cool, exciting, and like experience the world with them. You know, like we had a veteran that wanted to do water sports stuff. And I was like, listen, I am not going to take your dog paddleboarding for the first time, but I'm going to show her a paddleboard, and we're going to get on, and we're going to learn to navigate, and we're going to do those things. But I want that to be their first thing together. I want the dog to be in a place where it can understand, and it can learn, and it can be open to new things that it's going to be introduced to. That's my job. My job is just to prepare the dog to be introduced to the world. And it's the veteran's job to introduce them. That's the exciting part. That's the fun part. And I love it when my veterans get to do that. And it's been incredible to watch some of those journeys. We get lots of cool updates about the things going on. And we have networked with a lot of people. You know, we get our dogs from all over, whether it's from rescue shelter situation. You know, we were able to shout out to Eric Stambro. He got us an incredible candidate, Little Clementine, and she's out there just crushing it. I mean, I can't say I didn't have any hesitation. I knew right away when they all got to meet, but those moments when the veteran gets to meet their dog for the first time, oh, there's nothing like it. It's crazy.
I remember when our Texas friend came off the plane, and I was holding the leash to the dog, and I mean, it was very emotional. And he's walking up, and he's like looking at me, and I'm like, "Say hi to your dog," and he kind of kneeled over, and Max went right to him, and it was I mean, it got caught on film, and it was, so now it was great for him to, as a keepsake, but I also want to talk about, we touched base a little bit about our program, and we don't keep the dog for an extended period of time like we do for a short period, right? Sure. We get the things that we need to have on board, obedience, maybe some imprint of cortisol depending on where the veteran is. Some of our veterans are using their own dogs, so that
Yeah.
becomes lesson based. Period. But we have had some where we've got the dog and we raise it, and then we put the obedience and potential cortisol on it. And then once we feel that the dog has a good whereabouts of himself, that's when we start letting the veteran take the dog and
Yeah.
be kind of bonding to that dog. And that dog can now learn the little quirks and some of the things that is that person's experience. We had one dog that the veteran unfortunately suffered from night terrors. And so that picture for his family was really difficult. So there was the need for this dog. So once we got him where we felt we could let him go, it has been absolutely change, not only just for him but the entire family. And
Yeah.
that is what makes sense to us is we get that dog in the veterans hands as soon as we can, so that
Yeah.
way they can start living and changing their lives, and then we just come in and clean up, right? We just
Yep.
come in and pick up where we need to, in areas
Yep.
that they're struggling in or whatnot, or something. If there's task work they want specifically, then we start, we come in and redo that. But we try to give them a pretty good baseline before we give them to them, and then after that, it's like, go see what you can do.
Yeah. Well, I think we've been really successful in doing that. I think there are good organizations out there that are
Sure.
doing the whole process, and they're keeping these dogs and doing this whole puppy raising process, and like there's so much that goes into it before that person ever gets their dogs, that unfortunately what they run into is that like the financial obligation to that, because they have people who are puppy raising and they're doing all this work leading up to it. And ultimately for me and you and how we believe this should go is like, I want our veterans, like some people will say, well, I just want to finish dog, I don't want to do the work, and that's just not what we believe in. I mean, some of the process in this is getting the veteran out, getting them engaged with their dog, giving them something to take ownership of, and something that gives them like something to do, something to take ownership of, something that is just their own,
Right.
it's just them and that dog. And not all organizations feel that way.
Right.
But we have been incredibly successful with it because we can, I mean, watching the veterans work their dogs and learn how to handle a dog, like those skills are not something like, sure, I can hand over a 2-year-old dog that I've been training for 2 years, but that bonding process is difficult because that dog has been with somebody else for 2 full years.
Right.
That transition is difficult. And so when we can get these dogs and we can change their lives, I mean, gosh, some of our rescue dogs that we've gotten from shelter, like, we're rescuing them, but they're ultimately rescuing those veterans. I mean, it's
100%.
kind of like I've had a few veterans be like, I want a rescue dog, because some of them are broken and they have had, I say broken, but they've had a history and they've had this kind of crappy life leading up to that. And then they get that freedom. They get that freedom to be with a veteran who also has a similar story. Like when you look story for story, like a lot of them have a parallel, and the veterans identify with that. And the bonds that we see between the dogs and the veteran are just, you can't even
Out the
explain it.
door. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think another thing and I'm just giving our viewers a little more of our success. I'm not just patting myself or us on the back, but we have been very selective when we do pick a dog out of rescues and shelters, even with breeders, right? And we are very selective of what this looks like for the veterans, and knock on wood, so far we've been extremely successful. We've had dogs not just stay within the state; they've gone to Mexico and other abroad. I think that's amazing to see that happen. I've seen, when we talk about the veteran actually, or the handler, learning to train the dog. You're right. It gives that person something to do. And it's funny because you'll watch them and they'll make a mistake and they'll realize, I made that mistake. And we're just like, fix it, and they go back and they do a
Yeah.
great job. And just like with trainers, we learn by our mistakes. So do the handlers and the veterans. They absolutely will pick up that where that mistake happened, and they won't commit it again. They'll make sure
Yeah.
they move past it. So it is
Yeah.
success. I think is our 100% our payment when we're dealing with our service dogs.
100%. And I like that the way we have things structured is we can charge a lot less for a service dog. We try to it's not about the money, and we don't, at the end of the day, like, we're just trying to change the world sometimes,
Right.
it feels like. And
Right.
so it's been nice, but it's so fun. I mean, like you said, we got 5 candidates lined up. We've got some fundraising. We've got some dogs that still need sponsors, but we just have this really cool setup that you have built, that you and I have talked about time and time again, of like, you know what, the money will come when it comes. Just say yes. Like,
Yep.
if we can make it happen and we can commit to it, we will always say yes.
Yep.
And it's rare that we turn people down, and usually the veterans that go through our interview process that don't end up with a dog, usually it's not a no, it's just a no for now. They just have some extra homework. They have some things that they have to navigate because they're not quite there yet. They're not in a place where they are ready to take that on. And we have seen that a few times where we say, hey, it's not no forever. It's not no, it's just no right now. And like, here's some things that we need you to work on. Here's some things to commit to, and like, come back to us. Like, come back to us in a couple months, come back to us in 6 months, come back when you like have done these things. And it's incredible to then get to say yes to them. It always turns out so much better.
I gotta really bring up Emma's handler when you talked about he was in a position where it wasn't really the right time. And I believe that was the Soviets, and they mentioned like, hey, what if you worked with the local shelter? And he did for a full year, if not longer. Like he it was like day one he went in. So I mean, it just showed the importance in his life that he's like, I need to do this, and he did the work. And when we see these guys doing the work or like with both foundations, they're like, what do you need? We have another Max in COCF, and his handler has been like elated as far as what we have been able to do for him. And he is like, let me help you write grants. Let me help you bring a different level of that commitment, or that financial commitment to the foundation. And then he's always like, we have events coming up. He's like, I'll be there. Like, that engagement with them is just a tenfold as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it feels like we have a family. We have a team of people that, like you said, like, yeah, surely we get them a dog and we go through the process, but a lot of them are just eager to support. And it's so cool when they refer their friends. That always just, it makes me so happy when they like change their own life. And then they're like, I have this buddy and he really needs a dog. And like, can he apply? And we're like, yes, he can apply. Like, absolutely. And so it's always incredible when those moments happen too. And we like, then you get some friend groups. Then you have like my best friend that served with me or is best friends in this capacity or that capacity, and we're veterans, and like, he needs a dog and I need a dog and we all need a dog. That's how these groups happen, which always just, it's so good. They're all connected, and it definitely, it's good. It's a good situation.
It's great. Well, I think we'll probably wrap it up. And maybe we can have a veteran if we have someone that's interested to come on and talk about his life and how it changed. We leave that always up to the veteran what they want to share, and we respect that. So that would be great if we could grab one.
I would love that. How fun! I'm gonna have to. There'll be a lot of censoring. There's gonna be a lot of bleep.
Probably when the
not be the one, right?
No.
I have my mind. I was talking about the golf outing, but I'm super excited. We have some special guests coming in town just for the golf outing, and I'm so excited. Like,
we haven't seen them in a while.
We love to do that. We love to host them for the weekends, and like, it's gonna be so much fun because our training job is over. We don't have to be the fun police.
No.
Like, we get to be the fun aunt and uncle, and we get to like
Yep.
let the dog do all the bad dog things that we weren't allowed to let them do. So
And go home.
and then they go home. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited. It's
So-
always a good time when we get to like do dog stuff with our veterans, like well after they're finished per se, and we get to go back and just like do fun dog stuff, and we don't
Right.
have to be the trainer.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's wrap it up.
Till next
Again,
time.
and just real quick before I walk off here, all of our veterans that have watched this, each and every one of you are special to us. Even though we may not mention your situation in this podcast, I just want you to know that it is a great honor for us to be able to help you in this journey, and I hope that we can continue with others.
Yeah, shout out to our foundations. They're the
Yep.
ones who make this world go round. They're the
100%.
ones that are like they probably don't get enough credit, but they're the ones changing lives, not us. We get
Yep.
the easy job.
Yep, 100%. All right. See you, everybody. Bye.